everybody, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for tuning in today. As you can tell by the title, this is the June subscriber pick, so we are going to go ahead and jump into it. But first, welcome to all my new subscribers, and thank you so much for tuning in today. If you like this video or videos like this, make sure that you go ahead and give us a subscribe, and also don't forget to thumbs up the video on your way out. So let's jump into this pattern. I have some thoughts. I first of all want to thank everybody who voted on this month's subscriber pick. For those who are new to the channel, I do what's called a pattern in focus. So every quarter I switch commercial patterns, and for that quarter, once a month, I put up on my community tab 3 different patterns out of my stash that you get to vote on, that I get to focus on for whatever pattern company. Is always commercial, it's not indie, and that's really to help me get through my pattern collection, my commercial pattern collection. And because I'm also not doing any commercial pattern buying this year or indie pattern buying for garments, so that's the no buy that I'm doing throughout 2024, if you were not aware. So before I jump into today's review, I have decided to start back from the beginning. So after Butterick, you all saw I had shared before I started the Butterick collection that I only had a few. The other big 4 I had was New Look and Quick Sew. First of all, the New Look only had a couple. Quick Sew, I had maybe 6 or 7, maybe a few more, but half of those are for cooler climates, and it's hot as all get out. And so I decided, okay, we're not gonna even mess with Quick Sew. I'll just sew them up as I get to them, when I get to them. But you all know, I'm looking at my pattern stash. You all know how the room is organized. If you did not see it, I do have my latest room tour. But anyway, Simplicity, McCall, Know Me, Vogue, I still have quite a few of those. So what I decided to do was start over with Simplicity. So after you watch today's video, go ahead over to the community chat tab and make sure that you select the pattern and focus for the next quarter, which is July, August, September. And we are doing Simplicity. We are back around to Simplicity. I was debating to end the pattern and focus, but I really like it. I enjoy it. The feedback and really getting through the stash and your suggestions and what you think I should make. Good. So head on over to the community tab to see the next 3. I will pick the pattern and show you the one that I have selected next week for the sewing buzz. So stay tuned for that so you can see what I picked and the update on this. So Butterick 6876. What can I say? I did not do a sew along, as you can tell by the title, because Rochelle from Rochelle Handmade Design, she did a full sew along on this. She mentioned something about the neckline that I'll talk about here shortly, that I actually saw in the directions that she said she didn't see. And so I'll share with you what that is. And I'll also share with you some tips and whatnot that I have. Now, this pattern, the size pattern that I have goes up from an 18 through a 26. And that is 18 through 26 gives you body measurements starting at a bust of 40 and a up to a 48, and then a waist from 32 to 41, and hip from, what is that, 42 to 50. But there is ease that you have to take in consideration. They have the finished garment measurements for the bust. I'll tell you what that is. I cut, just so you know, I cut a size 22. I cut a size 22 for the whole thing, I feel like. Yeah, I did. I went for a size 22 for the entire garment. So up around here, which I was almost a little concerned about, because up around here, and I don't know, I'm thinking maybe I could have went down still in the shoulder area. Not that it's dropping off my shoulders, but I wonder if I could have went down a size just to take some of this out around the neckline. But we're going to talk about that in a moment. So I went with the size 22, and the size 22 finished garment measurement for a full bust is 49.5 and a waist of 48. I am 45 in the full bust, and then 39.40 in the waist. The hip, I think I could have went ahead and went on out to the largest size because it's just ever so snug. I will pop up clips and video and everything, and you'll see it's not overly snug. And quite honestly, I don't know if maybe I kind of feel that way because when I'm how I'm wearing the top, oh, just for pictures. I haven't worn this anywhere. I just took pictures real quick and video over some shorts, some cotton shorts that I have on, some knit shorts. And so, but anyway, we're going to talk about all of that. The fabric is from So Much Fabric had her D-stash last year, February 2023, and that's where this is from. So I only had under 2 yards, but a big chunk of it was cut out, so whoever had it did probably use a bit of it, and so I had just enough to finish doing what to make this top. And so yeah, the pattern, we're gonna get into the instructions here. The pattern pieces for this are really simple. You only have the front, back, you have the tab, which you see in the front, the tab facing, the front facing, back facing, front armhole facing, back armhole facing. Now here's the thing, I had no reason to cut out that armhole facing. I personally do not like armhole facings, and I cut it out. And I was thinking as I was sewing, I was like, I was cringing at the thought of putting an armhole facing, so I decided to do bias binding instead. And so that's what I did. So I didn't even use that. And of course, the interface I cut out for that went into my little scrap interface bag that you all know I scrap interface pieces together. So real simple, easy, you know, so far as cutting out. Didn't take long, none of that. The instructions I thought were, for the most part, straight to the point. I will call this an advanced beginner just because there's a lot going on that they're talking about in this neckline area, and we're going to talk about that. If you have this pattern, step 4, where you're putting the tab and the tab facing piece together, it calls you to understitch after you've sewn both ends together. That's my first tip. Don't do that. Once you sew, if you sew the shorter or the longer end first, whichever end you sew first, understitch that before you stitch the other end. Because one thing for sure, and you probably want to stitch the bottom because it's more narrow, so you can understitch that easily. The top of the piece, which is wider, let me see if I can find it for you. So this is the tab, and then this is the tab facing. So as you can tell, the top and bottom one is wider than the other, more narrow, and you can see that the tab is much wider than the tab facing. That's because you're going to be gathering this in to fit the tab facing. And so I would suggest after you gather it in and stitch, that you understitch this end first, and then after you stitch that together, then go in and understitch the top part, because there's some finagling you will have to do up under your machine to make sure that you're able to understitch as far as you can go. That is my first tip. So far as if you happen to catch Rochelle's sew along, which I suggest you go watch it, because I did go watch it and I was concerned, and we'll talk about what I was concerned about. But the first thing I want to mention is she had talked about the instructions didn't mention anything about cutting into the V. If you go over to step 13, and they have you put the facing pieces on, the front and back facing pieces onto the main bodice of the garment, it is step number 13. It tells you to clip down into the front where you have marked to clip, and I'll show a video clip right here, because what they have you do is early in the instructions you insert one side of the tab in. Here you insert one side of the tab, but you leave the other side free. That is because once you put on the facing pieces, it has you stitch everything all the way around, the back facing, the front facing, and then you go down into that V, but you leave the other 2 dots on one side open, because that's when you flip it back, the facing back on the inside. Then they have you stick the free piece of the facing through that, and then have you stitch it down so it's completely clean on the inside, right? So that's the only thing. She did mention that in her video, but that's where you see, that's where they tell you to clip it together first, or how to stitch it and leave what part open and all that good stuff. Another tip I would have for your back piece. So you will notice, hopefully I'm in shot still, but you notice there's that opening in the back. All I did was use a button, a jean button I was never going to use, and I decided to do the loop and put that on there. So it has you, hopefully you can see that, but you have that opening. My suggestion is, before you stitch your back pieces together, serge the edges first, so you don't have to worry about that later on. You want it as clean back there as possible, even though you do have the facing piece and the top edge you won't see anyway. I just found that easier, and I thought it would lay nicer, because typically, you all know, this is some kind of cotton blend. I don't know what kind of blend, but usually fabrics like this, you all know, I usually French seam, but this one, I was like, nah, I'll just serge. So I just kind of didn't feel like doing the French seaming, and I just serged the whole garment on the inside. So far as this here, now this could have been me, obviously, because I did not use the facing, because I absolutely cannot stand facing pieces around armholes. I just use bias binding, and as you can tell in the video and picture I pop up, you'll be able to see it's some gaping there. And so but I'm not gonna do anything to fix that. I'm just not, because here's what I'm thinking I'm gonna do with this top. Outside of those instructions, because again, I did view A, I did the sleeveless version, so and Rochelle did sleeves in her video, so make sure you check her video out. But that was it, and because the rest of it is real simple, it's nothing complicated. You will notice, I'll show it in the pictures and video, the tie, the belt, I typically do not like fabric belts on garments unless it's Ankara. And so for me, I decided to sew, keep the piece, because you cut out 2 for the ties, because they want you to sew them together, and you have this one long tie that you can wear like a belt. I didn't want to do that. What I did was kept the 2 pieces apart, sewn them together, turned them inside out, and sew each one into the side seam, so it can just be a belt connected to at the waist within the garment. So that's one thing else that I changed. The other thing, here was my concern when I watched Rochelle's video. At the end, when the reveal and everything for her video, and she had it on, I felt like this here part was so high up. It did not look to me like the picture on the pattern. I'm gonna pop up the pattern again. As you can tell underneath, and now this is probably where I put my foot in my mouth, because if anybody remember when I bought this pattern, I said, oh, everybody that's wearing this pattern has a smaller bust, and it looks okay, but I thought somebody with a fuller bust, it would look much better. Here's where the foot and the mouth is. So when I saw Rochelle's, I was like, why is this so high up on her? And so I was like, well, I'll pay attention to that when I make mine. And you guys, same thing. I'm like, I feel like this is just too high. This tab is too high. And there's nothing down, I can't see. And it's like this peekaboo barely of the V down here. And so the front, to me, in comparison, and I guess the lady, the model, maybe the closer I look at this, that is how it's worn on them, where that tab is so high. But I guess that might look okay with somebody who's smaller bust, but somebody fuller bust, for me, it just does not look nothing like the picture. Does not. And so let me see if I can zoom in so you can see what I'm talking about. But see this, here's the tab. And I was like, okay, that, and here's supposedly the V. I was like, that's not, that's so ugly. It's ugly, completely ugly. And so I don't like it. And I like this fabric because I had gotten another piece during the swap. If you can see, there's this orange. There's this orange, and it's a twill. It's like a cotton twill that I always imagine this fabric. I had enough to do a top. I didn't know at the time what top. And then the twill, cotton twill, I was going to make some shorts so I can wear them together. And so I'm like, okay, we got to do something with this because this is just ugly. I'm sorry, it's ugly. And so what I'm thinking, you all leave your suggestions and comments down in the comment section, because by the time you see this, in between the sewing buzz, I'm going to fix it. I'll give you an idea of how I am going to fix it, but I would love your suggestions as well. Because of the way this is in, so you have the facing is turned in and everything, and so it's just, this tab is just stitched in between the facing and the main fabric, right? I am going to unpick this and take it out. I'm thinking about cutting this in half and resewing that bottom part together and just having it come across. And so then if I do half, at least take half of that out, this part will be, then I have somewhat of a V. I still don't like how high it is. I feel like it's just too high. I don't know, it looks nothing like the picture if you ask me, but that's what I'm thinking about doing. And that's the fix. Now, so far as here, I could do a bust dart of some sort there, but I'm thinking I'm not gonna even mess with that. It's not bad and on the back, but yeah, this here. And I haven't had that happen in a while, where I decided not to do an armhole facing and do bias binding. Usually it works just fine. And this is flat, but this is not. And it also could be because I did a straight 22. You all know I tend to go smaller up here. And then around here is when I go back out to the larger size. Couple things, I could have gone in a little bit more here, kept it in here, that way I wouldn't have had that. Probably would have eliminated, and it's up in the area that typically I would have to go down in size, so that probably would have taken care of that. But that is what I'm thinking I'm gonna have to do. Again, your suggestions, I am definitely open to them, welcome to hear them. I am going to take this off real quick, show you the inside, and then I can wrap up the video. Okay, so like I said, I am going to fix this. So when you see the sewing buzz, by the time you see the sewing buzz, I would have fixed this. I'm just getting a point in my sewing journey where I can't with whips and unfinished projects. And so, like I've said before, if it's something in the end I just absolutely don't like, I'll donate it. But here's the inside, and this is, and I have on my laundry day tee, you all would have seen this. I think this was dress number 2. I think this was up maybe a week or 2 ago, but anyway, I'll pop it up here in the iCard if you want to see this. I have errands to run, and this is the perfect dress, plus it's hot. But see how the back, I just serged the individual pieces, the edges, and then just sewn it together. And so, yeah. And then oh, I have it turned inside out, but again, you saw the button. Here's the front. So you can see that V, and I feel like I have the pattern pieces marked right, where I was supposed to stitch down. You saw in the clip I showed it, but this tab is just way too big. So you see how it's clean on the inside. I can just go up underneath there and unpick. It's gonna be a good unpicking because I did trim that seam really low. So but that's okay. It's have to be cut in half so it's not taking up as much space. And I'll leave it at that point in the neckline where it is, even though I think it's high. But if I bring it down lower, it's just gonna, you already can't see the little opening down here, so I wouldn't mind a little bit that you can see. And then here's the bias binding on the arm and everything. So, and you can't see, but I did just stitch into the sides the belt. So you all will have to let me know what you think. If you made this, definitely let me know. I like the idea of it. It's a design that I wouldn't typically pick up, just like the other Butterick last month's, which turned out so nice. If you missed last month's subscriber pick, go watch that. That was the Butterick 6875, I believe, and this is 6876. And so really like how that one turned out. Another non-typical style for me. This one, and I like that style. It's different. I like the slit. You can probably play with that and do some different hacks and stuff with it. But this, outside of that little piece here, it's nothing really special about this pattern. Now that I've sewn it up, yes, I like the look. You can't see the pleat detail in the front because of the fabric that I used. But one thing I can say, if you are looking for a top like this, for maybe you want it to be a block that you use to create other things, because you do have already an opening here and you have the slit in the back, this is a great pattern for that. But yeah, outside of that, I mean, yeah, but that's what I'm gonna have to do, and that's what I plan to do. Again, any suggestions, let me know. If I goof it up too bad taking it out, you will see me in the sewing buzz and nothing will be here. We shall see. You will see. Stay tuned for that, but leave your suggestions down below. Thank you again. I still appreciate you all selecting this, because who knows when I would have gotten to it, but I'm happy I've gotten to it. Make sure you head on over to the community tab and select the simplicity pattern. Is now quarter number, where are we? Quarter number 3. Ooh, most of the year is already gone. Or half of the year is already gone, I should say. So yeah, all right, everybody. Again, that's it. Instructions, simple for the most part to me, relatively easy to follow, and yeah, I thought it went together beautifully. It took me a total of, I would say, under 3 hours, because I took breaks and everything, because it's really a simple, so it really is. And plus I did the sleeveless version. So all right, everybody, let me know what you think in the comment section below, if the change you think I'm going to make is good or what, and you'll see on the sewing buzz what I decided to do and the pattern that was selected for the next quarter from Simplicity. All right, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in today. You all have a blessed start to your week, and we'll see you on Wednesday. Bye.